The second red line represents the percentage of calls closed at first point. That is, within the first 20 minutes of receiving the call. In the year 2000, only 40% of calls were closed at first point. This means 60% of calls that we received into the service desk needed to be escalated for additional work. Now this would drive the average cost per call through the roof. Now after implementing ITIL and KCS, our first point of resolution has now reached 86%. That means only 14% of calls are now being escalated. And you will notice that the planner satisfaction rating directly correlates with the first point of resolution. So ITIL processes helped us achieve a good first point of resolution and a good planner satisfaction rating. But by implementing KCS, it helped us maintain and improve those figures. The light green line represents the percentage of calls that are closed with a relevant linked knowledge base article. Now the KCS policy states that all calls should be closed with a relevant linked knowledge base article. But you need to start this in stages. So you establish benchmarks to measure against and continually improve the performance. You'll note from mid-2005 to mid-2006, it took almost 1 year to achieve 20% of calls closed with linked knowledge. Now this is where it requires an investment in time and resources to capture your knowledge. But your return in investment is realized very quickly once you get beyond 20%. Because KCS states that 20% of your knowledge will be sufficient for closing 80% of your calls. And we found that to be true. As you can see by our results, that by mid-2006 to the beginning of the year 2007, we had achieved 80% in less than 6 months. And now, by 2008, 83% of our calls are closed with a relevant linked piece of knowledge. I previously made mention about the initial investment required to capture knowledge base articles. But this is best highlighted by comparing the volume of knowledge base articles in the system from 2005 to 2008. In 2005, we had just over 230 knowledge base articles. By the year 2008, we had over 9,000. So if we estimate that each knowledge base article took around about 5 minutes to create, this would equate to approximately 20 to 25 working weeks for one full-time staff member. Now because KCS distributes the responsibilities of knowledge creation across all people in the support process, this overhead should be easily absorbed by the current staff volumes. So in real terms, and in our situation, if we break that up over approximately 30 full-time staff taking calls, this equates to only 3 full days for each staff member during the knowledge building stages. And in our experience, this knowledge building stage took around about 3 years. So it works out to be 1 day per year per staff member to commit to knowledge. Today, due to the knowledge base maturity, the impact of knowledge creation is minimal. In fact, you'll be surprised by the figures that will follow. Now this pink line represents knowledge reuse. We would consider this the cash cow. This line indicates the number of calls closed using a knowledge base article that already existed in the knowledge base. These figures highlight efficiencies and cost reductions in a number of ways. Firstly, it displays a reduction in the number of resources required to create knowledge. The first point of resolution increases as call handling times reduce. Information becomes concise and consistent, which in turn increases quality. And there is also a reduction in reopened calls because the service desk is fixing it right the first time. Staff are more efficient because they are no longer placing the customers on hold and tying up additional resources, asking questions that have already been answered somewhere before by someone within the support organisation. Staff induction times are dramatically reduced. In the year 2000, it would take 11 weeks to get a staff member up to support maturity. Now, coupled with skills routing techniques, we can have a new staff member taking calls in just a few days. This is because 80% of the questions being asked by customers are already in the knowledge base. So by osmosis, the staff are being skilled up by the knowledge base. And one of the most important things to note is that for the first time, you are able to measure the value of knowledge in your organisation. You'll notice a gap between the green line and the pink line. This represents the number of new knowledge base articles created. Over time, we expect this gap to reduce as your knowledge base matures, unless you're introducing new services. So let's recap the results from 2000 to 2008. In the year 2000, we had low first point of resolution and low customer satisfaction, and we had no way of contributing knowledge to call closure. Now in the year 2008, we have an 86% first point of resolution and a 92% customer satisfaction rating. And 83% of all calls closed are linked to a piece of knowledge. And 79% of the knowledge used to close calls were already in the knowledge base. So, to put it simply, in the year 2000, we had poor service and unhappy customers. By the year 2008, we had excellent service and happy customers. Maybe you're thinking, these figures are too good to be true. They must have been achieved by increasing resources or reducing the service offering or its quality. Well, let's have a look at these results against the backdrop of our resources and our service offering.